Thank you for listening and welcome to the Life Podcast, a proud member of the Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network. I'm your host, Don Smith. Karen Jaffe sticks around for some more intelligent conversation. Mike and I keep trying to get the show back on track, but to no avail. If you enjoy the show, like and follow the Life 1069 on Facebook and Don Smith Comedy on Twitter, or tune in live on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM, or you can stream the show live at wwsu1069.org.
The brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
They say, see a broad to get that booty yak 'em, leg her down and smack 'em, yak 'em. Cole got to be. Yo, shit.
All right, we're back on the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith. What? You didn't hear nothing? I'm your host, Don Smith, sitting still in the studio with us. Karen Jaffe, who did run out but came back, and Mike Shea, who has just never left that spot.
No, I live behind the bookshelf. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the bookshelf with records. You don't get visited by the ashes, by the ghost of the ashes over there, do you?
Only on Sundays when I invite him over.
Okay. There's a story with the ashes. That is actually the ashes of a former general manager of the station.
This is where he wanted his final resting place to be. That is so sad.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the show, so.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
I've never met him.
Like there are like lakes and rivers, oceans,
right.
and like
put
fields.
Put me in a dank basement where they broadcast a radio show.
Okay.
But no, well, part of him did get to leave a while back because Jess Cordry, I'm not sure if you know Jess Cordry.
I know who Jess
is. Yeah, he took some out on his shirt.
Oh, Jess.
It was his first time on the show, and he didn't know. And by the time I looked over, he said, "Who?" Because it's in a looks like a chili cook-off trophy.
I see that,
and that's what he said: is who won the chili cook-off? While he's opening that up and spilled it on his shirt.
Oh, Jess.
It was one of the better moments in the history of the Life Radio Show.
By better, do you mean more horrifying?
For him. I thought it was hilarious.
Okay, I'll give you that, yeah.
Because then I had to explain to him what just happened.
All right, that's funny.
It was pretty, yeah.
Gets home. Honey, what's on your shirt, person?
Yeah, former general manager.
Was he at least sorry?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. He was extremely embarrassed and felt like a big idiot, which made it even more fun. I think it was Scotty Mays was in with us, too.
Well, that's good. So, he probably enjoyed that very much. Oh, I love Scotty.
Scotty's awesome. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
I think Scotty is my most frequent guest co-host.
How nice for you.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time I've been on that he hasn't been here in a while.
Yeah.
I walked in, I expected to see him sitting
somewhere. Yeah. He's here in spirit.
He is.
Yeah. Facebook living at this very moment.
I'm sure. Yeah. Somewhere doing something.
Probably getting me in trouble with a Facebook live feed. So we talked a little bit about lofty aspirations.
Yes.
But not enough.
Are you sure?
I don't know. What got you started in improv? Did you take acting classes?
So this is actually kind of this is a funny story. So I was living in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 8 years, and I loved going to see shows at Second City and Improv Olympic, which is IO, and the Annoyance Theater. I don't know if I went to the Annoyance before I did improv, but I'm going to go ahead and pretend I did.
All right.
And I loved watching people do that. I didn't think I'd ever be good enough or wanted to. And a really good friend of mine from high school actually was on the main stage at Second City. He did a traveling gig, and he made it to the main stage after the ETC stage, which is kind of like one step below main stage. And then he did the main stage, and he was incredibly talented and just an all around wonderful guy. I didn't think, I mean, he did improv in college. So I just thought, well, that's who does improv. You have to take it in college and you have to do it the whole time. And I just, I started, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I was living with somebody who I was dating, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
And we dated for about 6.5 years, and we were living together for about 5.5 of those years. And he had told me about 2 weeks before New Year's that he wanted to, have a kid. And we had this big moment where he's like, I want to have a child with you, and I love you so much, and all these things, because we didn't think he wanted more kids. And then he left me.
More kids?
Yeah, he had 2.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't think he wanted more. And this is not, who cares? I don't know why I'm telling you this part of the story.
Yeah, this is
this is extraneous information. Well, the funny part is that 2 weeks after we had this really deep conversation about how much in love we were and everything else, he left me in a text message.
That's special.
He did. He left me in a text message, but he obviously loved me because he did not have unlimited text messaging.
Oh, wow.
And it took him 2 texts to break up with me. So obviously he cared.
Yeah.
Love.
Right?
Yeah, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. So, and he waited. He didn't leave me on my birthday. He did it like 12 days before. So I feel like he was really sensitive about that.
Yeah. Well, nobody wants to be broken up with on a text that somebody texts for free.
Right.
If he had unlimited, that's just terrible.
Yeah, but so
an unlimited breakup text on your birthday.
So he was really
worst.
sensitive about it.
He sounds like a great guy.
I miss him. Yeah. Anyway, he broke up with me in a text message, and I was working from home at the time, and it was January in Chicago, and I figured I was going to turn into Howard Hughes with the Kleenex boxes for shoes. And
which is my goal, but
whatever.
Not
float your
everybody.
boat.
Yeah. It's not for everybody.
So I was worried I wasn't going to leave the house ever. And a friend of mine had been trying to get me to take improv for a really long time. And then when this happened, she's like, will you please do something, take a class, get out of the house? And I said, yes. So I took an improv class at Second City, and I didn't hate it. So I kept going. And so I took the whole, I guess it's a year of classes that you can just sign up for. I took all the improv classes. I took a writing class. I took musical improv class, which I was terrible at because I don't like singing in front of people, which is kind of a requirement. I took a lot of them. And then at the end of my tenure, I thought, well, I'll just audition for the conservatory so I can see what auditions are like. And then, oops, I got in. So,
I was just testing.
No, I really was I just wanted to see what the audition process involved, because I was going to go take classes at IO and get better, so then I could come back and audition and actually maybe get in. Whoops.
But you got in.
But I got in.
Prematurely.
Yeah. So, I did the conservatory for a few classes, and then I had to move back to Dayton.
I'm sorry.
Me too. Sometimes. No, I'm delighted to be back. Don't get me wrong. Now I am. It took a little while, but I loved it. It's just such a. For me, it wasn't just acting or being silly. It was. It changed a lot of things about my life at a time where I really needed to change a lot of things about my life. So it's made me a much more positive person, and it's made me really appreciate teamwork and groupthink and all of that kind of stuff. So that's, when I moved to Dayton and we didn't have improv, I took a stand-up class. And here I am.
Did it again.
Yeah. And then I was okay at it. So I was like, I'll just do this and then so many people asked me why I was so comfortable on stage already if I was just starting stand-up. And I said, it's improv, and I can teach you some stuff that I know. And I just started teaching classes, and I go back to Chicago, I try to go back at least once a year and take a workshop or go to Cincinnati if they come there. I have a friend who has a theater in Columbus now they're offering workshops. I'm going to probably take some from them. It's something you can always learn more.
Right.
And the more people I bring to it, the more I'm like, okay, I definitely don't know everything. So I'll teach you what I know, and then you should go take it from everybody else that you possibly can.
Right. Well, yeah, because you learn something different from everybody. Just
Yeah.
any acting, any of that stuff. There's always somebody else that you can learn something else from.
For sure.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing is that everybody who I might have had them in a class or just was friends with them, 2 of my former students and co-comedy people just got into the conservatory like this
Cool.
past couple weeks ago or last week. Nathan Hall and Josh Smith, they both did Black Box, and they took with me and with them, and now they're crushing it. So
Awesome.
I know. And then Megan Stalter, who was one of my favorites, she is absolutely destroying Chicago. She has her own, she has shows
Really?
that she produces, that she puts together. She's incredible.
Yeah, I remember her. I saw her at Wiley's several times back
she's
when
amazing.
I was first starting out.
Yeah, now she was told by somebody else, well, you're never going to make it because,
Yeah, that's
you're X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, no, girl, go be weird and fly.
Right.
And she is. And it's so, I'm so insanely proud of her. And I'm so happy. Sydney Back is in Chicago and also killing it comedically. And I know she did a lot of improv in college. And now that I think she's done, so I know she's just crushing it there. I mean, that's what happens,
Right.
like I just like bringing it to people and then being like, okay, if you want to do this, go do it.
No,
Don't
fly
little
away,
birdies.
little birdies.
I know, it's ridiculous.
No, that's fantastic, and that is the best why somebody started something story I've ever had.
Really?
Because usually I ask somebody, well, what got you started in comedy? Some friends said I was funny, so I thought I'd get up and do an open mic, and that's all I get. No offense, Mike, if that's your story. But no, that's a story that's deeper. There's a deeper. I mean, it's a great story, aside from the initial, texting heartbreak.
No, but you see, here's the thing.
That's what started it.
That what makes
That's the catalyst.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad
Right.
at him. Now I'm really grateful because I have somebody like way better. But
Right, if he'd have
like
stayed, who
that,
knows?
yeah, exactly. No, but I'm really kind of grateful to him for being such a piece of trash human being and
a great
a
guy,
coward.
Great guy, so yeah.
He was. No, but
texting, yeah.
so Texty Texterson really pushed me. Like he pushed me out of my comfort zone completely. Like I was completely content to live my life and do the things I was doing. I mean, it's not like I never did anything. Like when we were together, like I'm like, oh, we live near a pottery studio. I'll go take some pottery classes.
Right.
Oh, we live in Chicago. I'm going to go do this. Like I was forced, my circumstances forced me to say, okay, I need to go be around people.
Or I'm going to stop.
Or I'm going to stop being around people. And I also took vocal lessons at Old Town School of Folk Music, which is the most incredible place. And again, I'd been to concerts there. I was always like, oh, this is so cool. I'm not a musician. I found out they had voice lessons, and I was like, I'll just take a stupid group class. And then I started taking private voice. Like the more I did it, the more I was like, I'm going to take private voice lessons.
At Caitlin's voice.
No, that's not why. I've always been a mimic. No, this is singing. And the thing that I love, I'm still very afraid to sing in front of people. Like you will not find me at karaoke. I'm good at it. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about it that just scares the bejesus out of me. And I made myself take private lessons. And in our final show at Second City, like before I got in the conservatory, you have a graduation show, and we had to write sketches. we weren't just playing improv games. And I wrote a song. And I said, if this gets in, I will perform it. And it got picked for our show. And I had to sing a song in front of the entire audience and all of my classmates. And the song is about when I punched Bob from Sesame Street in the Twigs and Berries when I was 6 years old. But
that's an actual thing?
That's an actual thing that happened.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I wrote a song about punching Bob in the schnutzels and performed it. And I don't remember doing it, but I was really proud of myself because it incorporated, my childhood thing that was, which was so embarrassing to me as a child. As I got older, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe my parents are telling this story, but now it's hilarious. It incorporates that and my voice lessons and Second City. And it was just this big, ridiculous moment that I do not remember any of. I blacked out completely. The only reason I know I did it is because somebody got it on one of their cell phone videos. And I remember singing the first 2 lines. And then I remember walking off the stage and my friend Cody going, oh my God, that was amazing. I'm like, okay, what? I was like, did that just happen? He's like, yeah, you were great. I'm like, I don't remember anything. Yeah. So I'm very grateful, even though like financially I was completely toasted and emotionally I was a mess for a long time. But I'm still grateful because it pushed me to now I'm on the radio at Wright State.
Yeah,
listener.
Look how far you
oh boy. Woo. But yeah, I mean, it's, whatever. So when life gives you text messages, write a song about punching Bob in the balls. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. That's what happens.
The more you know.
But it's good to have a story like that rather than just somebody said I was funny, so I did it. That's.
I mean, that helped too. People used to tell me I was funny all the time, but
you still needed that catalyst to get you over that. Out into that kind of thing, because that's the way I started theater. I think I told this story like once, maybe.
Well,
the way I started theater was because of my ex-wife. We were still together at the time, and we were not doing well.
So you had to learn how to act nice to her?
No. What happened was we used to go. She loved the Renaissance Festival and all this stuff, which I used to like.
Okay.
And I brought her there kicking and screaming once. And ever since then, she bought the CDs. She played the music in the car every time. And I got so sick of it, I don't ever want to go again.
Yay, she ruined it for you.
We were having some difficulties, and I would look at the way she looked at these actors and these people performing and how, she just talked the world of them. So I was like, well, hell, I can do that.
Sure.
Well, we were kind of at a low point, and she went to visit her family in Florida, and I found a play that was having auditions. So I thought, hey, maybe she'll notice this. So I went and did this play, and she never went to see it. Finally, the last performance, I think it was my mom made her feel bad, which I didn't care. I was having so much fun with it. I had started to do it for her, and it was like, nope, this is for me. I love it. So at that point, I was at the point where I didn't give a rat's ass if she came or not.
Sure.
So finally, she went to see the last performance, and when we got done, this whole other thing. But I never did another play for anybody other than me.
Good for you.
But I had so much fun with it. But that was the catalyst that got me into that kind of thing. And the way I started doing comedy is working the shift I was working. I never had time to commit months of rehearsals to a play.
Right.
So I was like, well, this is something. I can write it. I can remember it. I can get up and do it.
That's awesome.
And that's how I got started in that. And how I got started in the radio is I got hit in the head. And all of a sudden I'm in this booth and I'm thinking I'll just talk into this thing that's pointed at my face. And the rest is a blur and history, apparently.
Go got hit in
See,
the
so
head.
that's my story.
I hit somebody in the
and the
nuts.
the schmeckles,
And
or whatever you called them.
Schnutzels.
Schnutzels.
He only has one schmeckle.
Oh, okay.
2 schnutzels. Get it right, Don.
Sorry.
Come on.
Know this? They don't teach you this in high school?
Man.
I missed that day of biology.
But you know what? And here's my question to you. How many of your like really good friends have you met in theater?
I don't see most of them anymore because we're doing, but comedy, that's
Comedy.
That's my group I surround myself with.
Okay, right. So I still talk to people from my very first improv class. Well, not my very first one.
Well, I still every now and then I see some of the people I was in theater with. It's just I don't get out there as much.
But what people don't understand about theater and improv and comedy is these people do get you, and these are the people. This makes a lot of sense sometimes in your life. And I mean, I still talk to people that I did improv with. I don't live in Chicago anymore.
Right.
But I still love these people. I would still, I went to, so this is just a group I taught, but I've been to 2 weddings in the past year of people in the same improv group, and everybody showed up for each other. And they all have very different lives, and everybody's kind of gone their own way. But, we get back together for stuff like this, and it's like, oh, this is so great. Right. And it's like no time has passed. And everybody's still fun, and that's what I love to bring to people when I teach them improv. I'm like, look, you might be completely different from these other humans, but you're going to feel closer to them than you'll feel to almost anybody else.
Yeah, well, there was a stand-up comedy, a basics of stand-up comedy class that was taught here, and that was my
that
initial.
Jeff Jenna?
That was Jeff Jenna's class, but it wasn't him teaching it.
Right.
This was, I can't believe I can't think of her name, Michelle Metzner.
Okay.
Well, she was teaching it, but the interesting thing about it is I still every now and then talk to some of the people from that class.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Most of them, I think maybe 1 or 2 of us are still doing stand-up every now and then.
Sure.
But we still, to me, there was so much honesty in that comedy, and that's when you're starting out and you're just bouncing off. You get to know people so much better when you're working in something like that rather than just in a class with somebody. It's like, yeah, maybe we'll talk, maybe we won't. But in this, you're forced to not just talk, but talk about your personal life to try to find who you are on stage, pretty much.
Well, and to find out you're not guarded. When you first start comedy, you're not guarded.
Right.
So, and if you are, you're not going to be very funny. If you can just lay it all out there and be like this raw ball of emotion or whatever, even if your character, which will, people learn later, but you're not so guarded. When you're with other comics, you're like, you bring that rawness, and that's what makes you funny. So that you get closer to people that way, I think. Or not. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything. I don't know why.
See, Mike,
people
we
think
can
I know
have
stuff.
deep conversation on this show.
I know. I'm just glad it's happening on a show that I'm on for a change.
Yeah, for a change. Usually we're just making fart noises.
Usually it's Don sends me an audio file. We had a deep conversation on this one, and I'm like, damn it, I wasn't on this one either.
Well, what made you start comedy? People thought I was funny.
No,
No,
for me, I
nobody
was
said it was funny.
nobody ever said I was funny. I was a theater kid, and I got added into the school's TNG Talented and Gifted Drama class. But I was trying to I noticed that everybody in the class had their own identity within the class itself, and I had always been a big fan of stand-up, and this is at a point where that wasn't as popular of a thing. This is before, I hate dropping this name, but this is before guys like Dane Cook came onto the scene and stuff like that, before the Blue Collar Comedy Tour was a thing.
How old are you?
I am 29 years old. So,
oh my God.
Just a kid.
So old.
I know.
Okay, go on.
But
you're like, I know you're old. Go on.
But where I was at down in South Carolina, like there was no comedy scene. There was one club and it had no open mic. It only catered to touring headliner acts. So there was a talent show at school, and every guy they had the Miss Ridgeview pageant and the Mr. Ridgeview pageant. So I did the Mr. Ridgeview pageant, and all the guys were either playing a guitar or singing a song or doing like a dramatic Shakespeare monologue. I wanted to do stand up. I wanted to do it try it for the first time, and it seemed like kind of a good place to do it. So I wrote 5 minutes about my ex-girlfriend and about tornado drills and how dumb they are, and did my first 5 minutes ever in front of 500 people, and it went pretty well. And then but like we were talking about earlier, the True Test was my second show.
Yeah.
Which was, I got asked to host a prom fashion show.
Oh God.
And be the filler do stand up as filler in the middle of it. The only people at the show were the mothers of the models.
Oh, please tell me you made fun of the models.
I tried so hard. Their moms were all just like sitting all in the front row, just looking at me like, try it. Go ahead. Try it. Try it. So that went horribly, which was good for me, I think, because I did that first show. It went really well. So at 15, 16 years old, my head kind of inflated a bit.
Right.
That brought me back down real quick. So I learned how to bomb as early as I learned how to do well. So, but it kind of just went from there, and it's been 13 years later.
You were talking about hosting a fashion show, and it just just clicked on my head. I remember that in August I agreed to host a auction.
This coming August?
Oh boy.
What are they auctioning?
It's for some Trans Am society. They're auctioning like memorabilia and stuff like that. So yeah,
What?
It's
Trans Am Society?
It's a fundraiser of some kind for. Yeah, I forgot all about that until he said that. I was like, oh yeah, that'll be different.
You know what? That'll be car people are fun.
It might be entertaining. Yeah.
Car people are really fun. I think you'll be fine. It's Trans Am Society now is not like Trans Am people in like the early 80s.
Right.
Like they are probably the same people, some of them, but they've grown.
Yeah, it's the same people,
they
just
get it.
older.
Yeah, just older with better hair,
Right.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Knock on wood or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to go ahead and take a break. I'm going to play a little choke hazard.
Well, of course you are.
Of course I am. Yeah. So we're going to be back here shortly with we're going to have to switch to news.
Great.
Because it's getting too real.
That's fine. That's absolutely 100% fine.
All right. We'll be back here shortly.
Job and left my girl to just go and tour the world. Wanna taste every single thing, every bit of life that brings. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary. Yeah. am. Regrets from the past closing in. Thought I put them to the grave, but I guess it's too late. Leave them all in the past. When I have 1,000 fans, maybe they will love me. 'Cause I don't feel anything. I just wanna be there on the stage, staring God right in the face. The lights will dim and I will sing as the curtains open. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary.
There's a reason they call them lazy Sundays. There's nothing better than sitting around and enjoying the comforts of a good book. But what book should that be? Well, every Sunday, Eventide brings you The Bookseller, hosted by Jessica Gillen. Each week, Jessica breaks down a different book and tells you everything you need to know before cracking it open and getting lost in a whole new world. Tune in every Sunday for The Bookseller with Jessica Gillen, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Lane, I've been going to this high school for 7.5 years. I'm no dummy.
All right, we're back on the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith. Finishing out the show with Mike Shea still sticking around.
Haven't left yet.
Yep, haven't left yet. And Karen Jaffe is still here.
I know.
And
so lucky.
And she's still happy about it.
I'm always happy,
Don. Because it has been a pleasure having you on the show, because this has been some of the most intelligent conversation I've had on this show in a long time.
Don't tell people I'm smart.
And
I love listening to Karen talk about comedy.
Why?
Because
I'm old?
Well, no, just you always have something.
Karen's telling a comedy story again.
You always have something to say that makes sense. It's not just somebody
insightful.
It's insightful. Yeah. It's not just somebody who is saying how they've done it and that's the way you need to do it. You always have other ways to look at things, not just one set in stone, like, well, this is the way I did it, and if you don't do it my way, it's not going to work.
Oh, my God. Well, thank you, Mike. That's very kind. Yeah. I'm definitely no expert, so I can't tell you the way to do stuff. Hobbs.
No, but it's just, you always have an interesting perspective on things when it comes to this, because so many people get so gung-ho in the way they do things. As well, it's working for me, so try doing it my way. And you, from the few experiences I've had, tend to just push people more in a direction that you think will best suit them, not necessarily telling them to follow you down the path you take.
Oh, my God, please don't follow me.
Don't have guys dump you over text messages.
You get text messages. That's
don't
terrible.
Follow me. Well, that's very sweet. Thank you. That means a lot.
All right. Now we'll go from that into news stories.
Yeah,
all right.
Florida story. When deputies in Pasco County, Florida, arrested Cody Blake Hession on Friday after he allegedly drove a stolen car into a ditch. They were shocked to discover an accomplice, a capuchin monkey, clinging to his pink polo shirt. Hessian, 23 years old, of Holly Hill, was arrested while fleeing the scene, and that's when officers noticed his primate companion, who was named, appropriately enough, Monk. Hessian told officers that Monk was 3 years old and he had owned him since the monkey was 3 days old, according to reports. He also said the animal came from a breeder in South Carolina and claimed there was no licensing or permit required by the state.
That is 100% true. Somebody from South Carolina.
Oh, so you can have your own monkey.
I know people with monkeys. I know
know
people
more
with
than
monkeys.
one person
I know
with a
more
monkey?
than one person
Yeah,
that owns
different.
a monkey. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
What?
Big thing here in South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
You got to have your monkey.
Monkeys and potbelly pigs. I know a lot of people with potbelly
Okay.
pigs, and a lot of people with monkeys.
Well, yeah, I can see that, because if a pig goes wrong, you still have bacon.
You know, my dad just moved to South Carolina, and now I'm going to text him and be
He's gonna
like,
have to get a monkey.
Daddy, are you getting a monkey?
Yeah. That's the state pet in South Carolina.
Oh, God.
It's a capuchin monkey.
I want a monkey for when I visit.
Yep, get me a monkey, Daddy.
Daddy, I want a golden monkey.
I
want to go. I
one
want the monkey now. But I guess the thing is, don't steal a car and bring your monkey to Florida.
Yeah.
Because you will be facing serious charges.
It's like
Right.
every other bad movie from the 90s had a monkey in it. And like Ed, the movie with Joey from Friends, where they had a
Okay,
monkey
I'm glad
as a
you
pitcher.
said 90s.
Yeah.
And you're not talking about Every Which Way But Loose. Because Clyde was an orangutan.
That's true.
Not a monkey.
That's true. But yeah, like Dunstan Checks In, all those strings of 90s movies that all had monkeys in them. Because people thought monkeys
So
were
you're
fun.
29 years old. Do you even know the movie I'm talking about?
I do, because I'm a
Okay,
huge
okay.
movie fan. And so
Okay,
I watch a lot of movies. But yeah, I wasn't born in time for that one, but I do know the movie.
Yeah. I was barely born in time for that one, but I've seen that many, many times. It's a family tradition. We're going to put Clyde and the monkey on. A Jamaican woman who won the equivalent of $1 million in a lottery found a clever way to collect the loot while protecting her identity by wearing an emoji wink mask. The woman, N. Gray, well, they gave her name away.
Well, that was
N.
rude.
Gray, won the jackpot last month, and she randomly picked numbers a few hours before the regional Super Lotto draw. When she decided to pick up her winnings earlier this week, Gray provided us high comedy while keeping a low profile by using the emoji mask, but to both celebrate her fortune and conceal her identity. I guess you can use a mask to celebrate winning the lottery.
How?
I
Don't
don't
answer
know.
that,
Yeah, I
actually.
don't know.
Don't answer that.
It may seem like a good joke, but there is a serious reason for the mask. Lottery winners around the world have opted to hide their identities as they collect their winnings. Crime rates in Jamaica in particular leave many residents fearing they'll be targeted after winning large sums of money. Makes sense.
Yeah. I would hire an estate attorney and let them do the talking,
Let them
for sure.
hide my money
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. Yeah.
Or that. I mean, I was just saying let him collect
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
for me, but, when I win the lottery, because that'll happen. And yes, I already have one in mind, so if you guys want to
okay.
call in.
Okay. So we got another Florida story.
Of course we do.
I love Florida stories. They got a Florida fish and wildlife trapper was knocked unconscious when he was headbutted by a rogue alligator. The trapper, who has not been identified, was called to an Ocoee.
Sure.
Yeah, Ocoee. I've not heard that one. Ocoee neighborhood on May 25th after residents reported seeing an 8-foot alligator wandering around. It was pretty crazy, said Jack Redding, who witnessed the incident. He said he didn't know what to do. Then he recorded the episode on his cell phone. The video shows the trapper and 2 police officers carrying the gator, whose feet and mouth appear to be secured to the back of a pickup truck. When they heave it into the truck bed, the gator begins to thrash about.
Like gators do.
Yep. The gator flipped back and headbutted the guy, knocked him to the ground, according to local resident Walter Day. At that point, it was kind of free, and it whacked police officers with its tail.
Kind of free.
Kind of free.
But still in the back of a truck.
Kind of free, but still in the back of the truck, and now brought up on charges of resisting.
Because Florida.
Because Florida.
Because Florida.
Exactly. Because that's all you need to say is.
I feel like every time I'm here, there's an alligator story.
I've done a lot of alligator stories.
That's true. You do a lot.
Yeah.
But...
I don't know. They just seem to come up a lot. You wouldn't think an alligator story would come up. That you know. I can't even think of his name now. Moving on.
We're just going to drop it.
There was a comic that he does more theater than comedy. I cannot think of his name. He actually has part of his set that he does about an alligator being thrown through a Wendy's drive-through window.
Oh, Skylar McNeely.
Skylar McNeely, yes.
I love
could
Skylar.
not think of his name.
Skylar
but
did theater?
He got that.
Big time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Huh.
He got that news story from my show. He was on he was on that episode when we talked about that, and he incorporated it into his stand-up. I was so proud.
So you get
Skylar,
residuals,
if you're
right?
listening, good job, buddy.
Yep, and I'm so sorry I couldn't think your name, Skylar. It's a condition I have. It's like when I get hit in the head and made to do radio. I'm going to try to find something else good here.
It's not gator?
Yeah, what's that?
Not gator
see if
related?
we'll find something that's not gator related. Didn't we? We had a gator discussion earlier in this show, didn't we? Talking about gator eggs.
We did.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah,
Once
there
again.
we go.
When you're dehydrated, gator eggs.
Yeah, gator eggs.
Sports drink
Yeah,
of many
yeah.
Floridians.
Scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have truly created a monster. A team of researchers who specialize in the darker side of artificial intelligence made news again this week for their latest creation, Norman, a machine learning bot that, quote, sees death in whatever image it looks at, according to its creators. I'm not even going to try this guy's name or that guy's or this
Why?
other guy's.
Sven.
Okay, I'm going to try it. Pinar Janardag,
Sven.
Good job.
Manuel Cibrian,
Uh-huh.
and Iyad Rawan.
Yeah.
Close enough. Wanted to prove that artificial intelligence algorithm would be influenced by the kind of content fed to it. So they made Norman, named after the Psycho character in Norman Bates.
Like you do.
Right. And had it read image captions from a Reddit forum that features disturbing footage of people dying. The scientist said in an email, quote, due to ethical and technical concerns, the graphic content of the videos, we only utilize captions of the images rather than using the actual images that contain the death of real people. The team then showed Norman randomly generated ink blots and compared the way it captioned the images to the captions created by the standard artificial intelligence. For instance, where the standard AI sees a, quote, a black and white photo of a small bird, Norman sees men gets pulled through dough machine.
Poor Norman.
Norman is a little disturbed.
And it's not Norman's fault.
No,
It's
not.
our fault.
It's not. That's the nature versus nurture argument there. He was nurtured to be a disturbed piece of artificial intelligence.
Does that scare anybody else? Or
Oh, it
just
terrifies me.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a little.
It terrifies me.
that's
How many movies have
downright
we had
creepy,
where that exact scenario has happened and then like the world ends?
Right.
Like if there was,
How many? You're a movie
God,
guy.
I don't even know. Well, it's like there was some article. I God hope it was an Onion article, but it seemed like something from the Associated Press or something that was like, scientists believe there might actually be a way to clone dinosaurs. It's like we've had 4 movies about why this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Why would we continue to look into it?
Because we're a curious bunch,
I guess so.
There you go.
I guess.
They want to see if the movies have any validity.
Because if you've ever lived by the Natural History Museum in New York City, as I have, it would be kind of cool to see those things come to life for a second. It would.
Just
Maybe.
for a second.
Yes, for a second.
I found another Florida story.
Oh, God.
Investigators at the Putnam County Sheriff's Office in Florida don't meth around. Douglas Peter Kelly found that out the hard way on Tuesday when he purchased some crystal meth from his dealer that he thought wasn't exactly up to speed. Fearing a ripoff, the 49-year-old contacted the sheriff's office saying that he wanted the drugs tested because he had a bad reaction. Investigators said Kelly wanted to, quote, press charges against the person who sold him the illegal drug a week earlier, so the drug unit detectives invited him to come in and have the contraband tested.
Oh, my God.
Kelly drove to the sheriff's office and allegedly gave detectives a crystal-like substance wrapped in aluminum foil that tested positive for methamphetamine. The positive test had negative results for Kelly, who was arrested on charges of possession of the methamphetamine and taken next door to Putnam County Jail. He was released Wednesday afternoon on $2,500 bond.
I thought it was rock candy.
Yep, can you test these drugs for me? Something ain't right.
It's not as good as the last batch.
Oh, yeah. I think that dealer's a cheat. See, he could have at least provided the name of the dealer. That way he could take him down with him. But that's just, yeah, that takes a special kind of stupid right there.
Well, when I lived in South Carolina, we had a billboard that said, drug dealers report your competition to us, and it was for the police.
Yeah, I think I've heard that one. Makes sense. Yeah. It's a win-win situation.
Right.
Unless you're the one that was reported. Not so much win there. Well, we'll move on to one more drug related charges.
Yay, drug.
Perfect.
If I can find the rest of it, since I kind of threw all my papers around everywhere, and I can't.
Screw it, we're live.
Yeah, we're live. Let's just keep going. Okay, I found the rest of it. Got money to burn? Well, you could always spend it on a joint worth $24,000. That's the estimated worth of a 3-foot-long joint that was auctioned off Thursday night for a charity by Stone Road Farms, a Los Angeles-based cannabis company. The mega-sized marijuana cigarette contains more than a pound of weed, as well as 6 ounces of concentrate and 2 ounces of bubble hash, according to Stone Road founder Lex Corwin, who commissioned the joint. Oh, did we mention that it's wrapped in rolling papers made of 24-karat gold leaf worth $5,000 alone?
Oh.
So... yeah, that's why.
Okay. I mean, now, back in the day, I'd been known to roll my share of things.
But
and
probably
smoke
not
them.
in gold.
Never in gold.
Never, right.
That would take some doing. A and B. How 3 feet long?
3 feet long.
Just raises more questions.
First of all, how would you even get any smoke? Like, by the time you lit one end and stood at the other end and inhaled,
you
wouldn't get any smoke.
No,
And
it'd take
that's
forever
a
for it to get
waste.
there. Yeah.
It's a waste, and not of the gold. I mean, whatever.
I guess you would just have to close yourself in a room and light it on fire and just hang out.
Super hot box.
Again,
Right.
seems like a waste.
Yeah, it's $24,000. And $5,000 of that is gold leaf rolling papers. I don't think they were not being wasteful at any part of that. I think that was
okay.
Right now,
Fair.
Nick Taylor is like, I can afford that.
Yeah. Well, it was auctioned off for charity, so I guess that's the thing. They wanted to be. I don't get it. Now, they said that was its value was $24,000. It did not say what it auctioned at. So it could have been far more than that. There could have been somebody that dumb.
I want to know what the charity was.
Yeah. Well, it's for Stone Road Farms. I don't know if it's a
Of course
charity.
it was.
Yeah, the people that grew it and then sell it for that much decided to have a charity for them. Yeah, I don't recall in the article what the charity was for. I don't think it actually said. It was probably just
It's for Narcotics Anonymous or something.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It could have been for somebody who needed I don't know. It's going to be polypositive right now. And Scott, you guys, this could be somebody who's really hurting, and we're just making fun. Who cares?
It'd be like it's a charity for somebody that got their head stuck in the muffler of a truck because because they definitely should have been smoking something or were.
Trust me when
so.
I tell you, when they got her head out of that exhaust
She
pipe,
was-
you know she was covered in like soot.
I'm just picturing like the old Wile E. Coyote, like the Daffy Duck, where he gets shot with the powder. And that's what I'm picturing on that.
I can see that.
Yeah, a little smoke rising from the curl of ash on her head.
I'm so like, could you imagine Caitlin with her kids in like 10 years? Like, okay, you guys, I know that like mommy like always tells you to like be careful and stuff, but there's a reason. You don't want to just put your head. Her kids are probably putting their heads through the crib bars.
Everything
in
that the
toilet.
kids can find,
Yeah.
they're sticking their head
You
in.
guys, I mean, mommy's like serious. You can't put your head in stuff. Like, start with your feet, okay? And then work your way up to your head.
Right. You
Or,
don't
like,
want to. You
whatever.
don't want to dive in head first. And,
Caitlin, poor Caitlin.
This could be the reboot of How I Met Your Mother. Is the guy who pulled her out of the tailpipe. That's How I Met Your Mother, kids. One episode done.
Yep.
That's why your mom always carries a stick of butter around in her purse.
Yeah, that was a terrible show.
Yeah,
That would have been improved by a lot of people.
I love the show. The ending.
That would have been that show would have been improved by a lot of people sticking their heads in tailpipes. To be quite honest with you, that's.
I didn't watch it. No.
You didn't miss
Sorry.
anything.
I know.
I think we're going to end this show on a positive note, and that is the thought of all those actors from How I Met Your Mother sticking their heads in the exhaust pipes of large trucks. That's
As a benefit for Caitlin.
as a benefit for Caitlin.
Everybody's just going to stick their heads in the tailpipes, you guys.
Actually, more of a benefit for her children. We can only hope she doesn't have them.
Oh, God, right. Maybe she inhaled enough of the exhaust.
Right.
Maybe the truck
Choke
driver
something
would have,
off.
if he had just started the truck to try to spit her head out, that would have been so great. I got you, baby.
Yeah.
I'll just start my car real quick.
Or if he just didn't know she was there and took off. It's just say hands and feet kicking.
R.I.P. Caitlin.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for a wonderful show. Karen, such a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me, Don.
Mike, always good to see you. You added something to the show, I'm sure.
At some point, yeah. I said words once in a while, I think.
Good words, dude. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith. We will do this most likely again next week. Haven't been fired yet, so it's been 3.5 years. So
Yay.
We're on a roll. All right. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to the Life Radio Show podcast. Check us out on Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network or wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, if you want to listen live, we're on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM with a repeat broadcast on Wednesdays from noon to 2, or you can always stream the show live at wwsu1069.org. If you have suggestions or comments, feel free to email the life1069@gmail.com.
Brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me. I am a brutal presence. I will impose my will.
Some friends said I was funny, so I thought I'd get up and do an open mic.